Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast. We're here today to talk about Crystal Palace in the Wembley semi-final in the office today, but that video will be tomorrow because we're now going to talk about the North Stand instead. Plans were released this morning. Very excited for the new North Stand coming 2027, is it?
Yeah, before the end of 2027.
Before the end of 2027. We're just going to have a chat about it. I've got nothing planned, no notes or anything. We can't show the pictures or videos for reasons, so we're just going to talk about it. It's exciting though, isn't it? This feels a lot more, pardon the pun, concrete than previous plans.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, they first kind of outlined their ambition to improve the North Stand and take Villa Park up to 50k in 2022. Firstly, the North Stand was due to be demolished last summer.
Yeah.
So before the Foo Fighters gig, that was demolition day. Oh, sorry, no, after the Foo Fighters gig.
Poor Foo Fighters.
Not during, not before.
Turned
after
up to an absolute wreck.
That was obviously shelved though by the
Foo Fighters. They weren't having that.
Yeah, they didn't want to play on a rubble. No, Chris Eck basically put a stop to it in December, so about 7 months after he was appointed.
Yeah.
I remember doing a piece actually not long before the plans were scrapped, saying that Villa could get in the Champions League next season, but there'll only be 36,000 in the stadium, and there will be no fans behind that goal because for 2 seasons Villa will play with no fans opposite the Holt End, essentially.
I think in hindsight especially, it's absolutely the right decision, knowing that there's now plans to get this solved anyway. Yeah. But even at the time, I don't know whether we said it on the podcast, I might have done, I might not have. But
we did.
I'm pretty sure we were like, oh, you know what, I kind of get it. Would we have beaten Bayern Munich with 36,000 and nobody behind that goal? I don't know, maybe, yeah. Don't know. Would we have done other things that we've done this season with a lesser capacity? Would we have been on a massive unbeaten streak with less fans? I don't know. Obviously, it's kind of unquantifiable to say definitively one way or the other, but Villa Park is a fortress. It needs to be preserved and improved, and this is what the plans do. And I think as a kind of minor side, or a major side point actually for me, away from the plans themselves, I'm not going to talk specifically about what's it look like or what's the concourse going to be like.
If you want to see what it looks like, just
there's pictures, videos. Probably, I'm sure by the time this podcast comes out, everyone's seen it anyway.
Yeah.
But for me, this is, for the mid-term future at least, we're staying at Villa Park.
Yeah.
You don't spend 100 million to knock this place down in 2030, 2035.
Yeah, I'm led to believe it's a £100 million investment. From the owners, again, a huge commitment, but also committing to the club. Like Suarez, for example, leaving the UK recently because tax reasons, all those different things, and automatically there's kind of there would have been a fear of, well, what does that mean for Villa moving forward? But straight away, £100 million commitment to the North Stand. That's only going to grow as well, their investment in Villa. From where we've got Championship to the Premier League inside 6 years, it's something that no club has ever done, and I don't think we'll ever do. And not just get there,
apart from Leicester,
but continually.
Yeah.
I
don't think you'll see it again.
This will be Villa's 3rd season in Europe if Villa do it next season, which you know what I mean. We'll be playing Europe next season, won't we? So it's moving at a rapid rate, and it's only going to kind of continue from here. But you're right. The one thing that you can't do is move away from Villa Park. And we said before that, no kind of discussions about that have happened and hopefully will happen. But it's abundantly clear now that Villa's home advantage at Villa Park is something that I'm not going to say is unmatched, because you've got Anfield who, they rarely lose at home and all that sort of stuff. But it's essentially like that. Villa are now on a 19-game unbeaten run. Under Emery, it was 18 before that, I think, last 2 years ago. People will know when that happened. It's something that you just can't sacrifice for a bit more revenue. Come on. That's just going unbeaten. The fact that there's so many memories there and everything else. So, it's great that they're investing in Villa Park. Obviously, the caveat is that the local transport network needs to be improved. It has to happen.
And we've heard that before, but it feels like this is further along than it has been before. There must be.
And there's a commitment from Richard Parker, the mayor, to get that going. And Villa need this by, obviously, Euro 2028, but they also want Villa fans to experience the 50k atmosphere and stuff before that. You don't want it to be the case where, it's open for Germany, Italy, or whatever, and they get to experience it before Villa fans, and everyone's kind of looking through the window what does it look like? No, it's due to be done midway between the 27 to 28 season. Right. I say midway, hopefully a little bit before that, but it's not an accurate time on it yet. But you're right, Dan, it's this is kind of proof more than ever that they're staying at Villa Park, or we're staying at Villa Park.
Maybe 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, conversations can happen because there's parts of the stadium that are already
and the ownership might change.
Exactly, yeah. But in the very short to mid-term, any doubts of like, maybe get the Euros out of the way and then knock it down and do something else. That isn't going to happen now because of this. So to me, that's a massive tick. Like, say what you want about the area, transport. Hopefully, transport gets fixed, but the area won't. It's still going to be in that location. Put that to one side. What that stadium is and what it represents. In my lifetime, I don't want to see us ever leave what that is. So make it better. Keep what's there, like on the plans. Obviously, we've all seen the mock-ups and the CG kind of the graphics of it. It looks good as well. Like, they've done it in what looks like a really kind of classy, respectful kind of way to the rest of the stadium. That it doesn't look like the whole end is the whole end, but 3 stands, and then like, well, that bit looks a bit like the Bernabeu or the Tottenham Stadium. Like, it looks way different to the rest of it, and that means the Trinity and the Witten end will have to be done to match the North Stand. How's that going to work? It looks like a modern kind of interpretation of the rest of the ground. And the rest of it maybe will need to catch up as well, but it definitely fits the aesthetic of the stadium as is, and it looks like it'll be a real kind of high-end
It feels
job.
like Villa Park is like an ongoing project. And even after this, there will be more to happen.
Well, the Witten Lane will be the next one.
Yeah?
The Witten Lane will be the next one.
Yeah, like, you got the club shop, you got the warehouse, everything's almost catching up. And there'll be a point where it's, we kind of plateau and it's like, oh, this is Villa Park in 2040 or something, and it's up to date. Yeah. But to go through all those kind of issues of building things, and it might look like a bit of a building site at stages, but whatever. The question is, the answer is never to leave Villa Park, in my opinion. That's for lots of different reasons. And kind of just going back to the 36,000 thing, like, John Duran, I don't think, is lobbing Manuel Neuer. Not that the fans didn't suck the ball in the net, but we don't get that moment, I don't think. The PSG comeback, for me, does not happen if no noise is coming from that goal. John McGinn and Ezri Konsa scoring, 2 minutes apart or something. For me, that just doesn't happen. Morgan Rogers scoring 2 minutes apart early against Celtic as well. Like, all those moments. Like, I know the whole end is the whole end. Don't touch it. Don't. It's going to be it is the best stand in European football, in my opinion. But then the North Stand as well, it's a bit of an eyesore. But the Villa Park atmosphere, it reverberates. Like, there's, we don't just score at the Holt End, is what I'm trying to say. The North Stand also has a part to play here, and knocking that thing down and not having any fans there would have been unthinkable, I think, especially for 2 seasons.
Yeah, I'm trying to intrigue how they're going to do it, that it doesn't affect the existing fan base, and what happens afterwards with more tickets and who's going to get those season tickets, and however they work it is kind of a story for another day. But the fact it's being done or will be done, and we can kind of draw a line under it a little bit of like, this North Stand has literally kind of been hanging over us for quite a while. As you said, it's a massive eyesore, particularly from the car park end. So you approach Villa Park, come from the whole end way, what a beautiful stadium. Come from the other end, what a dump. It looks crap. It looks way outdated, and they've tried to give it a lick of paint over the last couple of years since promotion with the cladding of. They had all the players on at one stage. They had the trophies possibly at one stage as well. Smith and Grealish were on it. Like, they've tried to jazz it up a bit, but the solution is knock it down and start again. And
talking to people when they were deciding to knock it down, they were working on that construction, it was the case of, well, we can't build behind, we're going to have to knock it down. I don't think it was ever really apparent that they could do what they're doing now. So I'm glad that they found a solution to that.
Keeping the existing structure or something. And
so existing structure is what they're building on. I presume they're going to add to it width-wise. And then, again, the back of it is going to be a completely new-looking thing, and, again, up to date. But as you say there, Dan, it's not going to look like an air fryer, like the Bernabeu. Like, it's going to look modern and up to date. And so will, again, the North Grounds is what they call it. You got the warehouse as well that we built by the end of the year. That's a kind of concert venue, the biggest beer hall in the UK on match days, the club shop, like, it all links. And
where's the statue going, do you know? Is that going to be at the North Sun side?
You know what? I don't know exactly where it's going.
Would make
I probably
sense,
should.
wouldn't it?
But all of it, it's all coming together nicely. And again, these aren't plans that you're thinking like a high in the sky, and it's like, that ain't going to get done. That looks out of place. That doesn't look right because you've got the North Stand next to it. Like, it all works now, and you can visualise it. So when, after 2027 for the Euros, it doesn't feel in my head that anything is going to look like that needs work. This needs to happen. The only thing that needs to happen is local transport has to be spot on. The rest of everything else will fall into place because we'll have the plans to do so. So definitely positive news.
Just something a little bit different. Like I said, I've got no notes for this, but the name of it will be a talking point, I think. I'd be surprised if they just left it as the North Stand or the new North Stand, whether that's the Ron Saunders stand. I mean, by the time it gets built, it might be the Unai Emery stand if we've won the Champions League by then or something. But that is a talking point as well when we talk about kind of like nods to history, whether would it include some kind of museum? What will the hospitality offerings be like? There's obviously still loads of details to still work out, but what it's called and kind of helping revamp Villa Park, that I call it the Whitton Lane, and a lot of people do. That's the Doug Ellis stand. That should be changed. But when this new flashy thing is built, I would like it to be named something that isn't just the North Stand.
I never thought about it until you brought it up, that's a possibility. It's pretty sad that my mind straight away went to, how can you sponsorship that? But
well, yeah, even that could be an option.
Obviously don't want to, and to be honest, I don't think many clubs do that. Do they?
No, I think it's less common now than it was at one stage.
Everything in Manchester City is sponsored, including the bridge, which you walk over to get to the car park, to the stadium, the Nexen Bridge. But I don't think any of their stands were sponsored. To be honest, maybe they were. I didn't see it at the time.
Would you take a sponsorship? That's the thing.
Yeah. I'd much rather this be called, as you say, the Ron Saunders stand, or I think that's probably the most fitting thing, to be perfectly honest.
Or something 82 related somehow.
Yeah, because there isn't really much. The Ron Saunders stand, that fine.
I think it'd be weird. Weird is the wrong word, but weird to pick like the Peter With stand because he was the goal scorer, because it was like a team achievement.
No, for sure.
Like the class of 82 stand, that kind of vibe maybe, to kind of encapsulate all of them. But Saunders is the obvious choice for that, I think. To other people, maybe it will still be the North Stand if they choose to name it a sponsorship route. If it's the, I don't know. I mean,
it would definitely be a shame if it's a sponsorship, by the way. I don't want this to be like a,
If it's the NordVPN stand, like, people will still call it the North Stand, you know what I mean? So the Nord Stand, good. Yeah, if it's like...
I love how excited you got about that.
If it's like the
Nord Stand?
Yeah, the Nord Stand. This podcast is sponsored by NordVPN, by the way. If it's like the, the Trade Nation stand, it'd be a bit like, yeah.
Yeah, well, you would just call it the North Stand still, wouldn't you?
Exactly, yeah. If we're talking about like sponsorship naming rights, I would much rather the Trade Nation North Stand than the Trade Nation Villa Park Stadium. Name a stand.
Yeah, like...
Don't name the stadium.
I shouldn't bring them into this, but what's theirs called again?
Is it the...
it's like an email address.
Yeah, it's got the at, hasn't it? It's St Andrews at nightheadpark.co.uk. I only know that from Getty Images picture tag. It's crap, ain't it, that? St Andrews at Nighthead Park.
We shouldn't bring it back there, but
yeah.
Don't want an
Villa
email
Park
address.
at nordvpn.com. Have you got anything else you want to discuss?
No,
it's just a quick kind of little bonus video because it's got some big news.
We often get asked about it, and we did a video about like the Atros board and their involvement with Villa. Like, this was always going to happen, by the way. It wasn't a case of they're just squeezing the seats together and getting a few more 100 seats, and that's something they will be doing this summer. So this is why it's going over 50k. But to have something tangible, and again, for me, it was just sort out the North Stand. Like, the way it looks isn't great. We need to increase capacity to 50k. It seems like a kind of a good foundation then. 42 is too small for Villa in terms of lots of people on waiting lists. I know season ticket prices are high. Hopefully they come down a little bit as a result, but
I won't get your hopes up.
Definitely there's a promise there, yeah. But ultimately, Villa had to get to 50k like quickly, and then after that, you'd be talking about 60k. That's something that isn't, by the way, a thing right now, but previously in their first kind of iteration of plan, it was 50k, and then eventually it would be 60k. There isn't any talk right now of what they're doing after 50k.
All right, that'll do for this little bonus video, just to kind of our thoughts on the North Stand. Obviously, it's big news. We're here today to talk about Crystal Palace, so that's kind of the main bulk of today's conversation, which you'll see on the podcast tomorrow. So do come back for that. We really appreciate everybody watching along or listening. Let us know your thoughts on the North Stand as well. I've not seen much social media reaction because, as the news broke, we were coming over here, but I'm sure everyone's as excited as we are about it, and I can't imagine there's been many bad words about, but the design's not very good. It looks really good to me, so keen to hear what you think in the comments. John, thanks for joining me. Thank you for watching or listening, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Palace preview.